This video will show you how to embed an EdPuzzle into your Canvas course by using pages instead of assigning it as an assignment for a grade. So to start with, I've created a blank page in one of my modules, and right now it's just titled Embedding EdPuzzle. To start with, I'm going to click on that Edit Pencil. And so I have my rich content editor space. It's just a blank canvas right now. And one of the things that I always like to do is to expand that space just so I can see a little bit more of what I'm working with. I always think it's helpful, in addition to whatever resource you're sharing with students, to give them some sort of an idea of what to do with it or a learning target. So if you want to add any text or other resources to complement your EdPuzzle, you can do so in that space. And then if you bump down a few spaces, you now have this wide open area to embed your EdPuzzle. And in the Enhanced Rich Content Editor toolbar, you have this cloud icon that stands for Embed. So if you click on this, there's a space to include embed code, which doesn't need to be inserted through the HTML editor. So it's a really convenient tool right here in the toolbar that we can utilize. Now, to get that embed code, I actually have to go into EdPuzzle. So in this other tab, I have EdPuzzle open, and I'm going to log into EdPuzzle and go to my content. This is where you can create a new EdPuzzle or find something that you already have, just as before. So for this example, I'm going to grab this forensic photographer video. I'm going to click on it, and you can preview it, adjust your questions, all of the different customization options you have in EdPuzzle. But what I'm really after right now, since it's already created, is that embed code so I can put it into my Canvas page. So what we're going to do is, instead of assigning it through Canvas as a graded assignment, I'm actually going to try to pull that embed code from the EdPuzzle website itself. And ironically, you have to go to the Assign button to get to it. You'll notice you'll have a list of classes that you can pick from, and most of them will be integrated and linked to your Canvas course. We don't want those options or those courses because we're not assigning this as an assignment through Canvas. So instead, what I like to do is to just add a new class, and I just call it sample class or just something generic so that you know it's not tied to a gradebook. So I'm going to click that, and then click the Assign button at the bottom. So now I have this blank assignment through EdPuzzle that has nowhere to go. It's not tied to a gradebook. It's not tied to a Canvas course. It's just ready to be shared. And so you'll notice in the bottom right corner, there's a link to share the assignment. And this is where we can go to get the embed code. You have two different options. So you could just share a link, copy and paste this link into your page in Canvas, but it's really nice to embed it so that everything is right there, one-stop shopping for our students, and they don't even have to leave their Canvas course. So I am going to steal this embed code. It gives you some options for which size you'd like to use. I typically opt for the largest size, just so that there's the largest space for students to interact with. And once you have selected the size, your code is ready to go, and we're going to click Copy the Code, or you could highlight everything and right-click Copy it as well. So we have our embed code. Now we can head back to Canvas. If you remember, we left off by clicking on the cloud icon in the Rich Content Editor toolbar, and it prompted us to give it some embed code, and that's what we now have. So I'm going to right-click and paste, and there's that code that I pulled from the EdPuzzle website, and click Submit. And now I have that video embedded right here for students to click to interact with and go through the video on their own to get the same opportunity to view the video, the same audio, notes, and questions that you created in your EdPuzzle. It just won't be linked to an assignment for a grade. With most of my pages, I always like to add this little check mark that says Add to Student To-Do List and select a date for when I plan on doing this in class or when I would like students to finish doing it on their own, depending on how you communicate this learning opportunity to students. So let's say that we are going to be doing this assignment next Tuesday, the 19th, and I click Done. And now I can scroll down and click Save. So now I have the title of my originally blank page. There is this date to hold students accountable for when we're using this resource or when they need to have it finished with. There's some text describing what we want them to do or get out of it. And then there's also the EdPuzzle. So I'm going to publish my page, and then I'll click on the Student View button so that we can get a sneak peek of what the experience is like for students. What they will do when they're viewing this page is click on the blue Get Started button, and right away that video is going to prompt them to go ahead and get started. Once they press play, the video will start, and it will go on until it gets to the first question. One other thing that's worth sharing is this, even at the large size that we took from EdPuzzle, it's pretty small. But while it's playing, you can share with students that it's also helpful to use this expand button. So if I click on the expand button, my video continues to play. I haven't left Canvas, and the question will still pop up on the screen. So let's wait just a second because we are getting close to the first kind of pause point in our EdPuzzle video, and we'll take a look to see what it's going to look like for students. And here we are. So now it's kind of a split screen situation where students can answer the question. If I press escape to get out of the full screen mode, this is what it would look like for students if they're not watching it in full screen mode. They won't see the video in the background at all. The question will just kind of take over. But they continue to proceed through the EdPuzzle just as before, only now it won't be linked to a grade when they're finished.